I am going to call the February 5th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. I am member Terry Hamilton Brown, and I am standing in for our chairperson today. And with that, please call, Madam Secretary, please read the preamble.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, February 5th, 2024. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak in a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, if you would please call the roll.
Sure. Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Faith will be absent this morning, so we should state for the record that with 4 members here this morning, the applicants run the risk of a tied vote. When there's a tied vote, the decision of building and housing remains unchanged, therefore the variance is denied. So at this time, we would consider any postponements as you could postpone the cases for a future date when we have 5 members.
Okay, hearing none. Are there any postponements to announce for the agenda?
Sure. Calendar number 23-230 at 4495 Lee Road.
Okay.
The owner of this property proposed to construct a new gas station and convenience store. This applicant, sorry, there was an error on the notice that was received by my office, and therefore we need to repost the correct information. So if it's all right with the board, March 4th works best for our office.
Okay, please postpone that till March 4th. And that is sufficient time to get the corrected notice
Yes,
out?
absolutely.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, the other item is 23-218 at 1555 East 118th Street. 155 East 118th Street LLC proposed to erect two new 4-story multi-unit buildings. A total of 20 units and a 7-car parking area. The appellant is working with the community and the city regarding the design. And at this time, they are requesting a withdrawal so that they could reapply to building and housing as they foresee major changes to the site plan. So this case 23-218 is withdrawn. There will be no testimony this morning.
Excuse me, miss, this one was on Lee Road, I was here for that one, so you're saying you're not doing anything today with that?
Right, no
So I can
testimony.
come back on the 4th of
For it.
March, it's the same time, 9:30?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You'll receive another letter in the mail.
Oh, okay, thank you. Excuse me. Yes, what?
So, man, I was wrong. The case 23-218 is also withdrawn,
Withdrawn.
Right.
so nothing can happen
They-
today.
Right, so at this time, they are not going forward with that particular permit application as they are making changes to the site plan. They are reapplying. If they need a variance in the future, we will send out a new public notice and post it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So somebody's.
That's all that we have.
So, great. Okay, so then we will, well, actually, city planning, are there any council people online? If there is a council person who is present, either in person or on the line, it's customary to call their cases first.
Madam Chair, I do not see any council people on the line currently.
Okay, thank you. Then we will proceed with the agenda in order. And Member Holzer, let's start with calendar 23-232.
No problem. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Our
morning.
Morning. Our first case is calendar number 23-232. This is at 3007 Detroit Avenue. 3007 Detroit LLC owner proposes to change use to retail store and restaurant in a D2 local retail business district and pedestrian retail overlay district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I will swear in all who are present for this case. Madam Chair, do we have anyone in the room?
Are you here?
Yeah, should I come up?
Yes, anyone who's here in the room, you're welcome to come up to the table. Just grab another chair if you like. Oh, okay. All right, Member Wilson.
Okay. I will swear in all who are present. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name, and your address.
I do. William C. Merriman, 3011 Church Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank
I
you.
do. Chad Curtis, 3102 Vine Court, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. Dan Busson, 601 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who would like to speak? Okay,
All right. Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, Madam Secretary, would you please read the history on this property?
Sure, Madam Chair, if we could just confirm that the applicant is present in the room. Oh, you'll be representing the applicant.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. 2014, it was changed to local retail business district. In our records administration, we only found that in 1909, a permit was issued to erect a shed on the property. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history, we found that in 2003, a permit was issued to re-roof a single-family house. And also in 2004, a permit was issued to install siding and new windows. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay. Mr. Curtis, would you like to make your case?
Sure. There was a little package we had sent too. I don't know if that can be put online.
Yeah, here it is.
And is it both houses?
I'll set the context. This is a single lot that actually has 3 structures on it.
Okay.
So it fronts Detroit and also backs up to Church Avenue. The 2 homes you see in the front face Detroit. You can see they're set back a little bit off of Detroit, and then the 3rd house in the back is off of Church. Unique thing, we think this is one of the oldest homes in Cleveland, the brick house on the left. This was, Ohio City was the Taylor Farm. When you look up the address, it was between the building to the left and the middle of that house. And so the family I purchased the properties from has owned it all the way back to the 1800s. So that's why there's not many records. So one, and also important, I own the apartment building to the right you see here, and then also on the other side of this building, you can see the cars in the parking lot behind it. We own and developed the building that's there into a dog bakery, clothing store, and a restaurant. So very familiar, very active in this part of the neighborhood. Have a lot of care. That's ultimately why I found purchasing these homes was so important. Putting them to a good use is critical. So the location is in a historic landmarks district. As the board members said already, the only variance we're seeking is for parking. Currently, there's a driveway on the property that wouldn't even allow enough parking for the homes. The one on the right in this picture is a two-family. Like I said, the brick is a single. The rear one is a single as well. So you don't even have enough parking for the home use that it was prior. Our future plans for the property are to take the 3 homes and utilize them as a retail type of use. Right now, the plan is to make the brick house have a small kitchen in it, which will have generally a burger, a smash burger type of restaurant. The one on the right, and seating will be both upstairs and downstairs. The one on the right will be an Asian wok concept, so some Asian foods, potentially some sushi. If you don't mind, will you go to the last page on it? We've got a
Yeah, I was looking for some type of site
yeah.
plan.
I believe it's the last one. So this kind of one-dimensional picture shows what we're planning to do on the inside of those homes. Again, Detroit is on the top of this. So the buildings will be connected through a kind of a porte-cochere type of gazebo.
Can you pull that up, please?
Yeah,
Can you make that a little bigger?
Oh,
Thank you, sorry.
I see lines too. It's hard to see the numbers and everything. So you'll see kind of a connector between the 2 of them. Right now, that design hasn't been finalized. Our intent with the design, which is important, will be uncovering what's there. We don't, the brick is brick. We plan to restore that, tuck point it, maintain what's there. The home that was sided in 2004, we're going to take that. It's all single color vinyl siding, so we'll take that all off. When we've done other projects like this, we don't know what's under there, but if we can get old pictures that help us give guidance before doing that, we'll go with the direction of historically what's there. Same thing with the home off of Church. That one, we will take the shingle siding that's on the sides of the building off and restore it with generally either wood lap siding or hardy lap siding that kind of speak to the character of what it was. And then, like I said, this breezeway connecting the 2 will be something that's not meant to stand out much from what's there, but kind of accent it and help provide access through the 3 buildings. If you scroll down a little bit, yeah. So there's this main building in the back that fronts Church. Our plan will have where you see the steps in the bottom left corner of it. That'll be an entryway into what's now currently the living room. We'll have a ice cream to go section. So really it'll be primarily a takeout. There is a ramp for ADA purposes that will be on the side of that home pointing towards Detroit. We met with the Block Club and heard some feedback about making, a good problem is a place called Mason's has large lines for ice cream in the summers. So we're aware and cognitive of planning for that and ideally not letting that come down the side streets, making it a natural progression into the property and frankly towards Detroit, away from the Church Avenue side. The most of that use inside you see in the middle will be for cooler storage and kitchen area, and then a common dishwashing area. So the 3 homes will kind of work in conjunction with each other, where the main kitchen, back of the house type of stuff will happen in this one. So it'll be much less use in it. And then it will go up towards the front where you see this breezeway on the right side of the picture. And then the other breezeway connects to the house on the west side, which will actually have the bathrooms. So the primary bathrooms for the property will be over there on the west side. And then the rest of it will be seating. Above This house on the left, the west side, that's the vinyl sided one, will have office space upstairs. So we are gonna, it's an apartment, if you wanna call it that right now. We will be making that into just office space. Overall, we're excited to do this. We think it's a great use of the property. As we mentioned, the use is allowed. The precedence for the variance has been set many times up and down Detroit. There's really no way to accommodate the variance or the parking requirements without a variance. This building, like I said, whether it was homes or any of the allowed uses, it just doesn't have the ability to put the parking on site. Across the street at the transformer station, there's a public parking lot. About maybe a couple 100 feet down at Church and State, there is another public parking lot. We're also, we've worked with city planning on their future transportation demand program. We'll put bike racks on site. We haven't decided where or how large we'll put, but we're gonna have a transportation kiosk. So it kind of directs people to the public transportation. Detroit has a number of stops almost right in front of the property. One at 29th and Detroit, and then there's another one on the north side of Detroit at 32nd and Detroit. We kind of sit right in the middle of that. So a lot of good accessibility. We also feel neighbors will walk to this property. It'll be a widely attracted building from the neighbors. We have almost 1,000 apartments and several hundred homes within the blocks of this property. So that's where we see a lot of people coming from.
Okay,
More?
only if you have more.
Yeah, the current parking requirements create an unnecessary hardship from the strict application of the code. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to this property. Like I said, the variance will be consistent with other ones granted. And we cannot tear down the homes, and we haven't proposed that because it's in a historic district. So we're looking for an adaptive reuse of the property that allows it to continue on for another 200 years, hopefully.
Right. I have a hopefully quick question on the parking, and then we'll continue to take comment.
Sure.
Employees, how many employees do you estimate for the various businesses and the office, and how do you plan for them to park?
So again, there's tons, one of the slides on this, kind of maybe towards the middle of it, shows the street parking available around the property. If you keep going, I'll tell you when. So this is a study that surrounds the property. We did this one for what we call the Testo building. So this shows where parking is already currently on Detroit, Clinton, Church. So there's tons of street parking. Like I mentioned, we own the building next door. We have 12 spaces there that during the daytime, especially for office users, you get heavier traffic on the weekend with the nature of the retail. The restaurants only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the evenings. So we would allow them to park, the employees to park there. Like I said, we want to have bike parking on site so people hopefully live and either are close enough to ride or can walk over.
Okay.
On the slide that had the site plan, that had our estimate of employees. It's very small, so if you can zoom in. Okay.
Oh,
It is small.
very small.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, seeing it's distorting actually. Building one.
Yeah, it says,
It's not a large facility too, that's one of the thing. The plan isn't, they have waiters and waitresses. It would be an open seating concept. What's great is you'll be able to grab a burger, grab the other food, and kind of sit in any of the buildings. So we'll just have back of house cleaning. We'll have a bartender to serve drinks. We'd have obviously dishwashers in the back, but not a lot of employees.
okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Merriman?
Madam Chairman, thank you very much for this opportunity to share in the conversation. And I appreciate Chad's interest in these buildings. When my wife and I moved on to Church Avenue in 1971 to begin our family, people thought we were crazy for getting into a neighborhood that was kind of iffy. But it was our home. It's where we raised our family, where we built friendships, relationships with the surrounding community, and having the opportunity to purchase one of the neglected houses on the south side of Church Avenue. My wife and I borrowed some money, took the plunge, and fixed up the first of what would eventually be a dozen housing units that we stabilized on this street and a couple of streets over. I took on a passion of stabilizing housing in the neighborhood. Working with Near West Housing Corporation, we purchased the Miller Building, an apartment building at 32nd and Detroit, and the 3607 Clinton Building. And we're involved in stabilizing housing for the elderly and for especially minorities in our neighborhood, considering it a real victory. I was complimented by one of the larger investors in the neighborhood for starting something good in terms of with others, stabilizing housing in the neighborhood at a time when it was deteriorating. And that person said that if it weren't for people like me, stabilizing housing 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, there would not have been anything left today to, for the city to, grow and build on. I became the chairperson of the block club. I'm not anymore. I'm too old for that these days. But looking back, I'm reminded how we're actually a prime supporter of the pedestrian retail overlay in our neighborhood, and working with developers, including Mariners Watch. Our block club actually had a hand in the design of that building. I appreciate the fact that Mr. Curtis would invite us back for a block club meeting recently. It's a beautiful asset to the building, to the neighborhood. But there was mention of the Testo building, a former building that was industrial in use, which is now a spin cycle yoga studio. My own family goes there. There's a wave of popularity leading to a great interest in life in this neighborhood and in the city of Cleveland. So I'm enthusiastic by this catalyst that's happening, that's drawing people from other parts of the city to the Near West Side, but also people from outside the city, among the medical profession, for example, and research and universities. It's all good. And it's become, unfortunately, also an entertainment district, not just a place to live, grow, and enjoy, celebrate friendships, families, and so forth. But on weekends especially, the place is just overwhelmed with parking. Two recent expansions over the past year or so, the Spin Cycle building, the former Testo building, and Saucy Brew Works have expanded without off-street parking. And last Thursday, we had a good example. I think they must have done a run-through for my sake to remind me of how important this meeting is today. Last Thursday night, there was not only no parking on, there was a good slide you had with the parking. There was none of that parking. And in fact, where they showed red and parking not allowed on the north side of Church, it was bumper to bumper for half a block. The areas around the fire hydrants are bumper to bumper. So not only could a fire truck not have gotten at the fire hydrant to hook up the hose, it couldn't have come down Church Avenue because of all of the parking that was pouring into the neighborhood, even before this project hits the ground. There were actually parking spaces for 3 cars off the street in the rear parking lot. There was a two-car garage, well, 1.5 car garage, but parking space for 3 because that's how many people park there. It seems to be, unconscionable that at a time when we need more parking for these businesses, these lovely businesses, there's going to be less. Mr. Curtis himself has encouraged me to talk to people about permanent parking or some form of working out a measure where parking for the residents is preserved. But we need support from our councilman, Carrie McCormick, and the city of Cleveland to accomplish that. The success of the neighborhood has just run away. It's just saturated. Like I said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was it was just saturated bumper to bumper, including the area around the fire hydrants and the entrances to the driveways. Church Avenue, which is to the south of the site, is very narrow. There's parking only for on one side. That's why they have no parking on their side. There was a car parked across from my driveway. If I wanted to go anywhere on Thursday night, I could not have gone. People are parking all over the place. We need to have the city's cooperation to develop something like a medallion or permit parking. We need the support of investors like Mr. Curtis. We need the support of our councilman, Jerry McCormick. And you know what? They say it and then it's 6 months, 12 months later, and there'll be even more need for off-street parking in the meantime and nothing for the neighborhood. We're getting squeezed out of our own neighborhood. People are coming back from shopping who live on Church Avenue, parking in my driveway while they unload the car and then parking the next street over. Who has,
Right.
who has control over that situation? It comes out of the Board of Zoning Appeals at this point. I'm sorry. I appreciate this opportunity to share with you this
Well,
morning.
thank you for sharing what you and your neighbors are experiencing at your home and on your street.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I do have letters,
Please.
if you're ready for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 neighbors have written letters of objection.
Are they on Church or what streets?
So it's Olivia Lane. She did not give her address. Claire
3007.
Mistretta did not
3007.
know her address either.
Mr. Merriman is offering the addresses. Thank you.
They're in the apartment building across from the site, 3007 Church,
Bridget Corcoran,
the same.
3007 Church. I do see her address there. Elizabeth Rogers and Casey Olier and Christopher Merritt.
My son, who is a co-owner in 3007 Church LLC, that now has control of those buildings.
Okay. And all are objecting?
Due to the parking situation, right?
Thank you. We also have landmarks.
Yes, thank you. So the Landmarks Commission hasn't had a chance to review this proposal yet. So I guess we would request or recommend that it be postponed so that we can take it through a design review process to give the Ohio City Design Review Committee and the Cleveland Landmarks Commission the opportunity to review and provide feedback and, possibly approve or disapprove, but I'd like to see how that plays out.
Okay, thank you for that information. And it is noted that Landmarks Commission approval is required. Yes. All right, city planning?
It's Xavier Bay, city planner with city planning staff. So hearing testimony of the available garage parking in the area, makes sense that there's some potential for relief for the parking that would come to this property. So I mean, we would recommend approval with condition that it goes through Landmarks.
That's it?
Madam Chair, I also received a text message. I apologize, I didn't mention this earlier, from Director Joyce Wong from City Planning Commission. She did state that she had communication with Councilperson McCormick and he supports the variance.
And we also went to the block club and they voted in approval of this
That was
project.
gonna be my next question.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a formal vote that happens at the block club, so they voted in favor.
correct.
Okay,
Which block club?
Franklin Clinton.
Okay.
It's pretty large.
It's a large block club.
And frankly.
Is anybody working on the parking issue?
So I've developed a lot in this neighborhood and.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
you.
and I live a block away from this as well, so I'm a neighbor in every context. We said we're happy to take some type of lead with it, but I think, like, I lived in Cleveland Heights for 6 years. And in the Coventry neighborhood there particularly, they have resident parking permits. I think that's a practical solution for a lot of areas in Ohio City. Ohio City doesn't have driveways for every home. Mr. Merriman's, several of the homes he has, the tenants don't have a driveway to park in. I see both sides of it. I think city street parking is for every property, not just a house in front of it. But we would support any type of permit parking for residences. You know, I think our hours of what we're planning with this facility, they don't create the congestion for after hours, overnight parking that his tenants would need, potentially to park close to their house or in front of it. We're happy to lead and support. Like I said, we own quite a bit of the north side of this street and block. So, you know, I think it's good for them. It's good for the neighbors. We want to be a good landlord. You know, comments we've heard in the past is noise, things like that. We've never had any complaints of our building, the Testo building. That, just for clarification, it's the one he was mentioning is I forget what it's called.
Vitrolight.
Vitrolight, yeah. So that's where the new yoga studio in a place called Patron Saint and the spinning studio is. We've been in operation for I think 5 to 6 years next door, and like I said, never had a complaint. If we got one, I own and manage the properties, we would address it right away. You know, it's something that we feel the use is great. My only objection, I guess, to going to landmarks before this, what we're proposing to do to this structure is not anything changing it. We're not really modifying it. We're not adding additions to it. We're utilizing the existing structure. We're aware and I know we have to go to Ohio City Design Review and the landmarks as part of the whole process before we can submit for building permits. So we 100% intend to and comply with their request for the design. But the modifications are minimal.
Will you restore 3007 Church?
Yeah.
Is that the address or 3003, I think?
I think there's a couple addresses, but yeah, our plan is.
So there is some.
Oh, yeah, no, we did a house on the corner of 29th and Vine, right around, same kind of situation. It was, I called it a vinyl palace. It was covered in vinyl. You didn't know what was underneath it. And working with the board, they said, take it all off and then we'll tell you what to do. And I said, well, that could expose holes. So we'll take pictures, we'll document whatever we uncover, we'll put back, and the rest, restoring it basically to what it was.
I mean, Mr. Curtis, Landmarks Commission may have photos of what is underneath it, as I recall, whatever the address is,
Sure.
the sided one went through in 2004.
From before, yeah.
I remember going through design review and landmarks, so
We would
be able
love,
to turn up a file on that.
3004.
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
It's 3004 Church, yeah.
Board, are there questions?
Yes, I just have some clarification. So for the record, Mr. Curtis, you mentioned the hours of operation for the restaurant and I did not get them. So for the smash burger concept and the Asian concept, it's the same hours, same days?
yes.
And what is that again?
Generally, we haven't set the exact days, but we don't plan to be open much past 10:30, 11.
Okay.
It
And
might-
opening at what time?
Normal lunchtime hour, you know,
So
workers might get there a little earlier, but, yeah,
Noon to.
kind of seeing how business goes. Really, if it can support every day, terrific. Otherwise, it'll just.
I know,
What makes.
but as
practical
we're
sense.
approving this, we're gonna put that in our resolution. So
Absolutely.
you want 10 to 10 or 10 to 11?
I would say 10 to 11.
All right.
Yeah.
10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and then 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week.
I would say, let's say potentially 7 days a week.
Okay.
And
You can always
scale
go down.
back. Yeah. Thank you.
The pressure on the residential neighbors such that we're getting pushed out. It's a paradox that the very people that stabilize the neighborhood,
Who envisioned this at the time you bought?
and now it's our turn to go.
Well, it's not your turn to go, but it is time to manage it, right? All right, more questions?
So the ice cream shop, same hours of operation and,
I would say that would be more evenings.
Okay.
But yeah, potential to have the same hours.
okay, so we'll just leave it the same for everybody. And then the employees' numbers are noted on the plans, so we're not gonna put that in the motion, but it's in the record. That's correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then, you know, I'm also a neighbor, so I'm fully aware of the parking situation in this area of Ohio City. And I'm also aware of the plans that the neighborhood has been working on with the councilman on pursuing permit parking, which I think is a great idea. But that's not before the board today. And I hope that that conversation and that dialogue continues, because I think it will be helpful to adjacent neighbors.
With all due respect, it's just been talk. And it's part of the delay. It's a way of saying no. It's a way of saying no. Talk.
Thank you.
I'm
Mr.
sorry
Chairman.
for interfering.
No need to apologize. Thank you for your comments and for being here today. Any board members online who have questions or want to make comments?
I don't have any additional questions about the project.
Okay.
Same.
Member Wood. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Curtis, I do have a question for you. As you said, you would be inclined to step up and be one of the leaders looking for better solutions as a property owner. And you indicated that, to my question about parking for your employees, you know, they probably don't want to have to pay to park to come to work. So that you have at different hours additional parking in your apartment building. But I imagine that's a different ownership entity than this one?
Yes, every property we have is a different LLC.
Yep, I assume. So I would be interested in asking you to have a parking arrangement between those two ownership entities that would ensure that workers at the bare minimum would not be competing for the residential parking spaces that Mr. Merriman and his neighbors need.
Yes, that would be no issue.
Okay,
It's a different entity, same ownership structure, so.
but we're gonna put that in our motion.
Yep, we could formalize a document and submit that later if that would help.
Yes, it would be. I mean, you have to do other things before you would receive full approval, so we would trust you to do that. And that you'll continue to talk to your councilman and other property owners about this matter. Because, Mr. Merriman, we do see it, but we see it in different parts of the neighborhood. We haven't seen what you described that happened Thursday through Sunday of this past weekend.
Years ago, my family camped in Toronto, outside Toronto, and went into a neighborhood called Kensington Square. It's about a quarter mile by a quarter mile. And if you go online, you'll see a recommendation from the city of Toronto asking people to not drive there, but take public transportation and to get off at such and such a stop.
Right.
You can't park in the neighborhood anymore. That's where we're going. That's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that we see that in a lot of cities, Chicago, New York City, Toronto, every major city in America, Canada. You don't, parking is used by everyone. It's not specific to the house. I'm also a person that does not have a driveway. We park on the street, and I'm fully prepared that at some point in time, there will be no parking for us on the street. I take the bus, and I try to get to where I need to go in as many ways as I can. And I think that's part of city living. On that note, I wanted to go back to you, Mr. Curtis, on the bike racks and the bus passes or bus stops. I know you have the 26, the 71. I think those are maybe even the 22. 22 is nearby, that stops right in front of your building. Are you going to provide any type of bus passes or subsidize anything for your employees to incentivize using transit? And then where are the bike racks going to go, in the front or the back?
The bike racks, we would put, number one, probably in the back, so it's offset of the street. We don't plan to subsidize the bus passes. One of the interesting things about this transportation demand program, as we understand it, this size retail, when that's implemented, would actually have 0 parking requirements.
Right.
Without any of the scorecard hitting any of those check marks. So we're willing and going to do those things to help the situation, and hopefully, working with the neighbors, we take pride in trying to be a good neighbor, so that if we see a situation, if we see employees not parking or parking in the closest spot, we want them to go somewhere and park a little bit away, and we'll work with them to do that. But the kiosk is something we can kind of direct people to where that transportation is on site, or right off site, I mean.
So you're trying to comply with the spirit of the new
Correct.
law that goes into effect in March.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, board, any other questions, any unreadiness?
I'm good.
Wanna move?
Sure. All right. Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we've heard today from Mr. Merriman and Mr. Curtis, I move that we approve calendar number 23-232 on several conditions. One, that the applicant go to Landmarks and have these plans reviewed by the Landmarks Commission
And approved.
and approved by the Landmarks Commission. And also that the applicant obtain a parking agreement with the Mariners Watch property to accommodate employee parking on this site. In addition, the appellant has specified that the hours of operation of the businesses shall be from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. up to 7 days a week for all 3 restaurant locations on the property. Based on all that information, I move that we approve.
Is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, and Madam Secretary, will you call for the vote?
Sure. Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Calendar number 23-232 is granted conditionally. We will hold ratification until we receive that parking agreement. Once we receive it, we'll we'll ratify it the following Monday and then send you a letter. Please feel free to contact our office the Wednesday after that for further instruction.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank you
all
both.
for your testimony. And so Liz, on the Landmarks, Building and Housing will not be able to issue a permit until Landmarks approval.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you all.
Thanks, take care.
All right, we have next on the agenda, calendar 23-234.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The agenda that I have has different
Oh, did I
information.
Did I miss something?
No,
Well, you know,
I don't
Oh.
believe so. The agenda that I have, the appellant is Clatterbuck Fink, not Joseph Rafisi.
Oh, we had Mr. Rafisi last week,
Correct.
Oh, wait,
right?
are you looking at?
I have.
oh, yeah, you know,
I'm
that was,
looking at the slide.
Right.
The slide has
Yeah.
Joseph Rafisi, but my agenda has Clatterbuck Fink. So I want to make sure that I'm reading the correct.
I think
Yeah.
the slide is incorrect.
yeah, that was my mistake.
Do you have the correct one to share?
Let me,
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Not a
Otherwise, Madam
problem.
Chair, I could read this into the record if you would like.
Oh, no, she has it, right?
I
you
do
can read
have
in
it.
the record.
Yeah, I do have it. I just wanted to point out that whatever is being projected is incorrect.
Thank you. Please
Oh, I
proceed, Ms.
see.
Hull.
Yep, so on the slide, the first 2 lines are incorrect, and then down at the bottom it says Clatterbuck Fink. So I'll start from there. Our next case is calendar number 23-234. This is at 2805 Bridge Avenue. Clatterbuck Fink, owner, proposes to change use from a 2-family dwelling to a 3-family dwelling in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. Madam Chair, is
Actually,
there anyone in the room?
Ms. Wilson, just before you start, I want to just affirm with Madam Secretary, the notices that went out and the agenda that we have are correct, and it's for Clatterbuck Fink as the owner of 2805 Bridge Avenue. And the only thing that is in error is the PowerPoint presentation, correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
All right, Ms. Wilson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam
Is
Chair.
there-
Do we have anyone present in the room?
Yes, please join us here. We have one person, Ms. Wilson.
Okay, I will swear in the person who is present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name, and your address.
I do. Trevor Clatterbuck, 6005 Bridge Avenue.
Thank you. Anyone online?
Yes, my name's Rick Coxley. I am Mr. Clatterbuck's architect.
Okay, I will have you swear in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name, and your address.
I do. My address is 120 Portage Street, Kent, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online who wishes to speak in this matter? Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Secretary, would you please share the history of the property?
Yes. Originally, this property was zoned multifamily in 1929. In 1985, it was changed to two-family residential. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1909, a permit was issued to construct a two-story dwelling. There's one variance on file in calendar 74-131. There was a request to expand the use to include offices and a tavern. This variance was withdrawn. There were no decisions made on that. And then in the more recent history in our CELA system, a certificate of disclosure was issued in 2015 stating that the authorized use of the property is as two-family dwelling.
What year was that?
2015.
Okay. And legal standard, please?
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance from the requirements of the zoning code and a special permit for remodeling to provide for more than 2 dwelling units. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the special permit, upon prescribing proper safeguards to preserve the character of the neighborhood, the board must determine that the square feet of the lot area to be allotted to each dwelling unit is in accordance with the area regulations included in Chapter 355, that the dwelling units to be created will not be smaller than 2 rooms and a bathroom, that there will be no exterior evidence that a remodeled dwelling house is occupied by more than 2 families, except as such as may be permitted by the board, that the building, when altered and occupied, will conform to all applicable provisions of the building and housing codes, and that there is garage and/or hard surfaced and drained parking space for at least 1 car per family on the premises.
Thank you. Mr. Clatterbuck, would you like to make your case?
Yeah, so this property my wife and I purchased in 2015, and it's currently occupied with 2 tenants, and the attic is quite large. It's almost 1,000 square feet, and with the demand for housing in the neighborhood, we figured it'd be a good idea to add an additional unit with rear entry to kind of help balance the supply and demand in Ohio City.
Okay. Do you have floor plans?
My architect can provide those, yes.
They were submitted with the application.
No, yeah, this is the one that's.
Yeah, this isn't it either. Thank you.
We have already been approved by the Landmarks Commission I have also met with the building department to determine what needs to happen to comply with the building code, so.
Can you show us the 3rd floor? That's a lower level.
I don't have that slide added.
Oh, you don't have the slide that would show, you're doing this on the attic, right?
Yeah, we submitted a rendering that shows what it would look like from the exterior and how you'd enter and what the floor plan looks like.
Well, what's the floor plan for the third floor?
There would be a kitchen area, a living area, a bathroom, and a bedroom.
Do we have the floor plan for the third floor? I mean, really, the variance speaks to the amount of space, so we would need that in order, I think, to make a decision.
Yeah,
Do you have that, sir?
I'm looking, I could pull it up from my email. A moment.
Is it possible for me to share?
No.
No.
So I'm pretty sure we submitted it. We have renderings and drawings and everything, so. But yeah, it is a very substantial amount of square footage. It has a large bedroom, a bathroom, kitchen area, laundry. If you can see from the photographs from the outside, it has it's open to the back and the front, and it has two dormers on the side, so it's a substantial amount of headroom. So it's smaller, obviously, than the first and second floor apartments, but it's.
Have you spoken to thank you for your testimony, sir. Have you spoken to the councilman, the neighborhood groups, your neighbors, anyone about adding an additional dwelling unit?
No. Well, the neighbors next door, yes, that own Harper and Ivory, but I haven't gone to Block Club or anything like that.
And there's a separate entrance in the back?
There currently isn't. That's what we're looking to get
Okay,
approved as well. And I think Rick has had that preliminary talk with Landmarks because of the structure. So there's a 2-story patio on the back of the house that's enclosed. And so we would use those existing staircases and then exit onto the existing deck that's on the 3rd story and then connect that into the attic space.
Got it.
And so that wouldn't be visible from Bridge. You'd be able to see it from St. Ignatius's football field, but not, not from the street level.
I think we do need to see the plans.
If it helps, I can email them over to you or Rick could. I know he's
Yeah.
This one too.
been
so
in
it's
communication.
down.
Yeah, that's it. Liz, he could email them
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I can do that, sure.
I think Mr. Bay found it.
Oh,
So
Well,
what address do I email it to?
I'm pulling them up right now. I'm just trying to download them.
while you were pulling it up, just a question. I'm looking at the house and I live nearby, so I'm familiar with it. There's a door in the front. Is that what you would be connecting it to?
Are you talking about on the 2nd story?
Yeah.
No, that's actually, we're also trying to get a permit to put porch railings on the 2nd story porch, and you can see that there
Okay.
used to be a porch there, but I'm kind of hung up on that right now. We have to
Okay.
show historical design review that what the design of the porch originally looked like, and I don't have any photos.
Got it. So that is not part of what you're
No,
asking
that's
for
completely
today.
separate. That door goes into the 2nd story unit, and that would be his porch overlooking Bridge.
Okay.
This would be on the rear of the house we're
Got
talking
it, got
about.
okay, while we're waiting, board, does anyone else have a question, board?
My only question to the appellant was the intended use for the 3rd floor is for a full-time, long-term rental situation, not a short-term, let's say Airbnb.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Mhm.
Do you have it, sir?
Yeah, okay, so the internal stair, project narrative, and revised sheet 1.
I just sent an email to Board of Zoning Appeals at clevelandohio.gov. Should have that.
So, excuse me, is this gonna take a little while longer? because I'd like to move the agenda and you'll still be able to present, but I don't want to keep waiting for.
Okay, yeah, I just got in my inbox. It should take 2 seconds to download. Give me 1 minute. What was it? It should take about 2-3 minutes. Here it is.
I'll keep asking questions.
Please do.
So,
This is it on the screen.
do you have
Can
parking
you
for
make it
any of the
larger?
other tenant
No.
properties? So there's no parking in the back at all?
No, the backyard's enclosed with a brick wall.
Okay. Is there an alley? There is an alley back
There is an
behind
alley
there.
behind it,
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay, we got them now.
We're interested in the site plan for the third floor. The floor plan.
It's on the left on that sheet, says.
Thank you. Can you blow it up some, please? Thank you. It's not it. There. No, it's too big. It won't fit. Good. Okay, so based on that and your testimony that it's almost 1,000 square feet, there is an excess of 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up there. Two rooms and a bathroom.
Correct.
Any other questions, board? And you have 2 neighbors. You only talk to the one
Yeah, the
at
ones
the
next door,
corner?
yeah.
What's on the other side?
I actually don't know their names. They, I wave, say hi to them, talk about their garden, but in 7 years, it's kind of been a quiet relationship. And I don't live at the house full time, but yeah, I live down the street.
It's customary to speak to people and find out or let them know what you're gonna do. Yeah. Anyways, would a board member care to move this matter forward?
If possible, I'd like, if Mr. Bay could flip through these slides a little bit more, I just would like to see them.
Absolutely. Would you like the architect to
Yes, I would
guide
like,
you through the slides?
that would be great if the architect could talk about this plan.
Sure, I'll be glad to. Currently, this 2-story porch in the rear, both the first and the second floor apartments have access to this porch. And so what we would be doing is there's a stairway that connects the two on this side of the building. And so what we would be doing is extending that stair up to an existing deck that's on the back of the house. Basically the roof of the porch. We'd be extending the roof as shown here to cover that stair. And then the access to the apartment would be off of this deck. As I mentioned, the Landmarks Commission has already reviewed it and approved it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm good. I just wanted to see the rest of the plans, and I have seen them.
Is there a motion?
I can move.
Okay.
All right, Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we've heard today from the architect and the appellant, I move that we approve the variances in calendar number 23-234 to provide the appellant with the ability to add a dwelling to the attic of the existing structure and ensure that they are complying with all the requirements of the Building and Housing Code.
Okay. Do we need to address the parking?
We did. He doesn't have parking. He needs a variance for that. Correct?
There's no parking.
Yeah, no parking, no garage space.
As most of the dwellings on the street do not have driveways or parking, off-street parking.
I knew we said that, but I'm trying to read this. So including that, we are authorizing the variance for that too. Can you put the friendly amendment that the additional dwelling is for long-term rental?
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. And I will add to the motion that the additional dwelling unit on the third floor of the structure, the appellant has testified will be a full-time rental and not a short-term rental property.
Okay, is there a second?
Board Member Wilson, I would second the motion.
Thank you. Will you call for votes,
Sure.
Madam Secretary?
Sure. Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Did you hear her?
I did not.
We did not hear you.
I said yes.
Now we hear you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Counter number 23-234 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday when we meet again, and we will send you a letter. Please feel free to contact our office next Wednesday for further instruction.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Ms. Holzer, are you ready for the next item?
I am. I'll wait until the slides flip over. All right. Our next case is calendar number 24-003. This is at 5817 Detroit Avenue. 56 Properties owner proposes to erect a one-story open carport attached to an existing two-family residence in a C2 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one, with a note that Landmarks Commission approval is required before the issuance of a permit. With that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. Madam Chair, is there anyone in the room present for this matter?
Yes.
Mark Demchuk.
Please come forward, sir.
Just had my knees replaced 6 months ago.
Move as slowly as you need to move.
It'll take me longer to get here than to speak.
Yeah, but they're working.
Yes, it's going good.
All right.
So,
There are two at the table, Ms. Wilson.
my partner, Jim Travato's, he's listening, but he's out of town right now, so I don't know if he's on or not. And
Does he plan
Brian-
to speak?
no, he doesn't speak. And
Okay.
this should be a quick one, hopefully. And then our architect's on the phone, I think, but I didn't see him. I just texted him to see if he's on there, but his name is Brian Jurasek.
Okay, well, Member Wilson will start by swearing you in, and then she'll see if anyone is online.
Okay. I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Starting with those in the room, please raise your right hand. Reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do, Mark Demchuk. Should I give the address of the house or where I live?
Where you live.
Oh, okay, 6499 Katy Road, North Royalton, Ohio.
Thank you.
How do you spell your last name?
And D as in David, E as in Edward, M as in Mark, CHUK.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been butchered, man.
Yes, sir.
I do, Dan Musson, 601 Lakeside Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone online who wishes to speak in this matter? Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Madam Secretary, the history, please.
This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. 2008, it was placed in the pedestrian retail overlay district. In 2011, it was changed to local retail business district. In our records administration office, we found that in 1928, a permit was issued to erect an addition. 1955, a permit was issued for a masonry addition to existing store and dwelling. The dwelling at that time was identified as two-family. And then in the more recent history in our Acela system, we found that a violation notice was issued in 2019 due to work without a permit. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Legal standard?
Madam Chair, members of the Board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the required rear yard requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Mr. Demchak, can you tell us what you plan here?
Yes, it's gonna be a two-family dwelling. The back in, what we're here to discuss is the back of the house. I put so-called a portico. Two things for safety, and there's, as prior to this conversation, there's no parking on Detroit Avenue. So in the back, I did a portico for safety for whomever were to rent or buy this building. Also, and above this portico is a second egress for somebody on the second floor.
So what you're presenting to us is already built?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you buy the property?
Reason I don't like to say that because it's like too long ago, but I think like 4 years ago.
Okay. Is it occupied now?
No, we're taking this. This was such a rundown building, and I'm not embellishing or anything like that. It's just, it was a rundown, but if you were to see it today, it's beautiful except for that red brick we're gonna paint, which was agreed to paint, but the inside is gonna be beautiful. Two bedrooms, two baths with master bathrooms, kitchen area, living room. It's gonna be really state of the art. We build all over Cleveland or south of Cleveland, everything like that, and so we want this to be second to none. So it just made sense to put the portico in. That's what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And
That's a big improvement.
yes, thank you. And that's the portico there in the back. And it's deep enough for two cars. I mean, it's deep enough for a car, and side by side, you could put two cars in there.
Go ahead.
Can I jump in?
Oh, yeah, yes.
What we're looking at now is not what's built though, correct? This was the renderings that were approved by the Landmarks Commission a few years ago. Is that right? Because I thought what was there now was covered and extended a bit further. Do we have any current photos?
See, that's the west side. Let's see.
Yeah, that's the rear as it exists today.
Yes, that's the rear right there.
I just want to make sure that we're all
And there will be-
looking at what was actually built instead of,
It looks a little different.
yes. And that's why if I.
Oh, no,
should
I
describe
want everybody to see what it is.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna get rid of that landscape in there when it's done, but
Mr. Munson?
Yeah, so this came before the Landmarks Commission several years ago, was approved, and then when it came down to construction, some of the details changed, including this, this rear portion. Then there's several elements on the front that changed as well. The fenestration specifically on the first and second floor, and then the little roof addition in the front here. So the Landmarks Commission this has come back twice now to our last two meetings. It was tabled both times. So the commission will be taking action at our meeting this Thursday. Once we have the as-built drawings and they match what the actual conditions in the field look like. So I expect the commission to take action. So I would just, as is always in your motions, that it's contingent upon Landmark's approval. But the commission so far in their comments have had no issues with the rear portion of the property and how that was built out, even though it did not meet the original approved plans.
And can someone speak to us about can we see the, what would you call it, the plot plan to see where the portico is in relations to the property lines and the actual variance that we're looking at?
There we go. Here it is.
And so you access it through the alley in the back?
Yes.
So there's really, at this point, I can't tell where it stops, but versus the yard, there's no yard in the back
No,
now.
no.
So it'd just be cars.
Yes.
Is this the most up-to-date drawing, or is it?
Brian, can you hear me or no?
Was there a date
Well,
on the
Brian
title
didn't
block?
Brian's
swear
the
in.
architect, he's the architect, but.
Well, he didn't swear in,
Right,
so
oh, yes,
he
right, I'm
could be
sorry, yes.
sworn in if he needs to
Right,
give testimony.
I was just wondering if there was a date in the title block that we could.
Didn't.
No.
Don't see any date on the notes. Excuse me, Madam Chair, there is a Brian Daly. He's muted, if that's who you're referring to.
He wasn't sworn
Brian
in.
Daly.
Oh,
Is it-
no, Brian Jarosek.
oh,
Is the architect.
I do not see another Brian online.
Okay, board, do you have questions here?
So we have one variance. The rear yard setback is supposed to be 20 feet, and it's only 3 feet. Is that actually correct?
I would say that what's on, it looks like more than 3 feet from the.
Well,
right way
I'm sorry,
forward.
3 feet, 8 inches. So,
It looks more like, in what's showing up there right now, it's like half the distance between the back of the house and
Waverly Court.
in Waverly Court. I would think that in reality, the building is much closer to Waverly than is shown here, but I don't. Just because the building's further than 6 feet or 7 feet away
Right.
from the property.
And may I speak or am I allowed to-
Yes.
You're allowed to
Oh,
speak.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Quank, we did the protocol, like, again, the depth of a vehicle, just like the neighbors next to our west, their cars parked, they parked back there as well, so all we're trying to do is put a little protection for whomever were to rent the property, from us, so.
Right.
That's why we did.
What I'm trying to make sure of is since you already constructed these things without variance, if we were to grant you a variance for it, that it meets what is going on in reality.
Yes, okay.
So just, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Which we can't tell.
And we can't tell. I mean, I can't, there are no dimensions on this, so I don't know.
Do you have like a driveway, an apron that is double wide? I mean, this site plan really should reflect current conditions.
Okay.
Not sure what it's reflecting.
Because I don't know if this is an old deck,
No, it's brand new.
but it's showing the renderings are very different than what you actually built.
If
How
I may
about this?
back up a little bit here, but Jim, we had a third partner and he was supposed to be our general contractor and we had to part ways with him because he did things that he shouldn't have done
Sure.
to the drawings, which is making this a headache for going on probably a year and a half now. So I can get any information you need. I get dimensions or anything like that. And Brian, I don't know why Brian's not on the phone, but I'll get those for you to clear.
Well, maybe if Brian is the architect, let's swear him in so he can speak. Maybe he can
Or
testify as
How
to.
about,
That's not the right Brian.
Oh. Not the right Brian.
how about we postpone making a decision? You need to go to landmarks, and that gives you time to get an updated site plan that shows us current conditions with the measurements and anything else that needs to be on it.
The concern of the protocol, is it because it's too close to Waverly or what is the concern?
You need a variance because you need 20 feet in the back and you allegedly, I'm not sure, have only 3 feet, 8 inches. But we can't tell from these plans and you've already built the structure. So what we need to know is, did you really build it 3 feet, 8 inches from the property line?
Okay.
Or is there more or less space? So I'm not sure when this calendar agenda item was written up, if it's accurate or not.
Look, can I ask you, okay, so if it is 3 feet, which I
You
should,
think it is 3 feet?
yes, thing is 3 feet 8 inches, because
Well, we don't
I,
know, sir.
I'm
You
sorry?
need an updated site.
No,
plan.
I understand. I'm
Okay.
not trying to sway or anything like that, but I'm just trying to, I know it's not, it's far enough away, because if you look at the garage next to me, I mean, you're right, that site plan is right, because that garage next to me is actually, we are dead even with that garage.
Right, but we have no
Right, no, I understand.
knowledge of what
Right.
that garage next to you, the dimensions are. So we can't make a
So-
decision
so-
based on that.
So to postpone it, how long am I?
Well, you have to go to landmarks anyway, no matter what.
Well,
no
I
matter-
thought, oh, okay, I thought the variance, I have to get this first in order to go to the land.
No,
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 You
no,
don't.
you'll
you just
ultimately
have to
need
do both.
Yeah.
So
it's not sequential.
Okay. What time frame are you thinking?
Can you have them back in 2 weeks?
That agenda is pretty full, but. if
Okay. The following one?
That would be March 4th.
Would you be available that day?
Yes, one thing I'd like to appeal to this is, I mean, because of our builder that we no longer with, because he did so many things. He didn't, if he would have followed the plan, we'd have been done with this building, and it's 90% done inside, and everything's holding us up. But every month I waste, not waste, but every month that's backed up, it's like $7,000 of interest. And to back this up, then that holds up everything. I can't go inside, I can't do a thing. It's just sitting there. And quite honestly, I took a building it was garbage, really. It should have been torn down, but you know, I grew up in this neighborhood, and I lived there for so many years, and I was trying to put money back into the neighborhood to make it look good. Like, there's two
Well,
houses next to me that,
Mr. Demchuk, I would be amenable to the board perhaps taking action, but it would be subject to an accurate site plan being received.
okay,
And you would not get your approval until you do that.
okay.
And that would be up to you in terms of the time and how quickly or how
Excuse me.
long you take. And you still have landmarks.
No, I understand, which is third.
It's this Thursday, yes, and we're still waiting for accurate.
And board
plans.
members, is there unreadiness related to that? I mean.
well, he's still, are you gonna have accurate plans by this Thursday
I'll have
for
it this
landmarks?
afternoon. Or I'll for sure Thursday, but I know I can have it this afternoon. I'll meet my architect there now.
She's talking about all the plans, but you've notified him of what
Yes,
you
yeah, we've
need.
had multiple conversations about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, yes, city planning?
Thank you. Xavier Bay, representing city planning. We would recommend approval, just in alignment with what everyone was mentioning, you know, that these site plans be updated. I did also want to mention that a Chris S has their hand raised. I don't know if they're Chris S. Is it?
I didn't hit the mute button fast enough to swear in, but property owner from across Waverly Court, Christopher Sledzik, 7539 Westlake Boulevard in Kent, Ohio, but owner of 1408 West 58th Street.
You have to be sworn in. Ms. Wilson?
Okay, I will swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please reply with "I do," your name and your address.
I do. Chris Sledzik, 7539 Westlake Boulevard in Kent, Ohio. My only comment is we love seeing that this house is being redone. For the 5-6 years that we lived across Waverly Court, there was a lot of nefarious activity where that carport is, cars in and out. I joined because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be built out any further toward Waverly Court, because that could impede things. But if it's in line with the garage next door, that feels right for the neighborhood. And the faster that the house can be back on track, I know there were some building hazards with that first general contractor. It's great that that's cleared up, but would love to see this house occupied and help bring the neighborhood back up. So if it's going to stay built as is, we love that. That's all.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. So we are requesting a copy of updated site plans with actual measurements and all that to make sure that what is being proposed is aligned with what is in the agenda.
Yes, an as-is site plan, not what was proposed when the plans were first presented, but what has been built and what is currently.
Would be accurate.
Yes.
I can craft a motion.
Please.
So having heard testimony from the appellant, as well as the rear neighbor across from Waverly Court, and planning, I move approval of calendar 24-003 with the condition that an as-is site plan is submitted that reflects what is currently built. We'll leave it at that, with that site plan being submitted.
Madam Chair, I would second the motion.
Thank you both. Madam Secretary, if you could call the vote.
Thank you. Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
No.
Ms. Holzer, can you?
Oh, I need to lean in closer to my microphone. I said yes.
We hear you now. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-003 is granted conditionally. We will hold ratification until we receive that updated site plan. Once we receive that, we'll ratify it the following Monday and send you a letter. You can contact our office that following Wednesday for further instruction.
All right, thank you all.
You know what, I just have one question. We've made our answer. If the as-is site plan is less than this 3 feet, 8 inches, then this is what we are agreeing to, in which case you'd have to bring it back to us, correct?
Building and Housing would have to update the notice of nonconformance. We'd have to run it past them, but, and we would likely have to repost it.
But that's okay. I'm just saying,
Right.
we're approving it with this condition,
Correct.
expecting it anyways.
Yes, we will let you know, let the board members know if this is, if they give us
If it's different.
different plan, and then,
All right,
we'll sketch from you.
that works for me. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Ms. Holzer?
Sure thing. Our next case is calendar number 24-004. This is at 2819 Monroe Avenue. Zachary and Caitlin Rooker, owners, propose to erect a 2-story frame single-family residence with a 1-story frame detached garage in a B1 2-family residential district. The owners appeal for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. There is also a note that traffic engineering approval of the apron is required before issuance of a building permit. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. Madam Chair, is there anyone in the room present for this matter?
No.
All right, anyone online present for this matter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I will swear in all who are present. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address. Jill, I see that you have your hand up. Why don't we start with you?
I'm Jill Brandt from Brandt Architecture. Yes, I swear.
Okay, please state your address.
Oh, I'm sorry. My business address is 2220 Wooster Road, Rocky River.
Okay, and just for the clarity of the record, can you spell your last name?
Brandt.
Thank you. All right, Zach, I see that you have your hand raised as well. You want to go ahead and swear in?
Sure. Zach Rooker, 2819 Monroe Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. I do.
Okay, thank you. I'll move next to you, please, Katie.
Katie Rooker, 2819 Monroe Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, and I do.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who is present for this matter?
That's Pasquale Esposito, 3302 Hancock Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. I do.
Okay, and I just want to have you spell your name, please.
Pasquale, Pasquale, Esposito, Esposito.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Anyone else present for this matter? Hearing none, I'll send it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please provide the history.
Sure, thank you. This property the zoning has not changed on this property since 1929. We found very little in our records administration office. In fact, we found no records in our records administration office. We did find that there is one variance on file in calendar 17-375. This board granted a variance to erect a second floor addition and a garage on the property. And again, that was ratified in that was calendar number 17-375, and it was ratified in 2018. And then in the more recent history, we see that earlier in 2017, there was a permit issued to board up a portion of the property. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard?
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, required front yard setback, and air conditioner requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And then there's a note, the Board of Zoning Appeals is limited in its ability to grant encroachment beyond the required setback line for section 329.04C.
Thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I'll begin.
Please do.
Yes, good morning. I'm Jill Brandt from Brandt Architecture. We are proposing demolishing the existing home on site and building a new construction 2-story home. The home is going to be, very much in keeping with the size and scale of the neighborhood. We're adding in some very nice trim details and porch, and likening to some of the historic homes in the neighborhood. The original house was, according to the county website, for just shy of 1,500 square feet plus garage. And we are proposing let's see, the lot coverage is, well, I guess the total square foot of the property is 2,366. Again, this is just very much in keeping with the other homes in the neighborhood, and just again looking at the county website, up and down the street, the homes and garages average about 2,000 to 2,600 square feet. So I think our proposed 2,360 is in keeping with the character and scale of the building. I do want to point out the other variance on the list, the air conditioner, that has been moved to the backyard. We are no longer seeking a variance for the side yard air conditioner unit.
For the record, the lot coverage is noted on the plan at the bottom left corner. We are currently at 51.4%.
And then the other variance that we are seeking is the front yard setback. The house is currently 5.5 feet. And so I think this has been updated. I noticed that it was shows a 5-foot variance on the agenda item, I believe. Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we are seeking a 5'6" front yard variance. Is that correct?
Yeah, that matches the current house.
Okay, so that is, we do have an official site plan which has been submitted. And so that is where the current house is located, and that's what we would like to seek a variance on. I believe with the calculation that's typically used by the city, the average between the houses, it would be 6 feet 1.5 inches. Again, that's based on the survey that we recently submitted.
Okay, typically we do not offer front yard setback variances. So I'd like to hear from city planning.
I can allow Shannon to explain further.
Okay,
Good morning.
that's why you're here.
That is why.
We knew there was a reason.
Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Planner, City Planning Commission. So when you have set front yard setbacks, it's generally, when you remove a house, regardless of what that setback is, you've taken away that context.
That's right.
So generally, we go 150 feet in each direction to get the average setback, which is 8 feet. So then the applicant has the ability to come before you, or city planner will go out and do the measurements. And so the only way that the front yard setback is allowed is when a lot is sufficiently less in width or depth than the lots on the same block. In this case, they're the same size. And then when there's another legal encroachment beyond the setback line within 150 feet, and that's measured with a specific measurement. So if there's a building on the same side of the street that extends beyond the setback line, and that building is within 150 feet on either side of the lot. So basically, you determine the next setback line by drawing a line. It's a diagonal, it's a measurement, essentially. And then the average depth of that line as it crosses the property in question shall be the required setback. And so we did the measurements. Xavier went out and measured them. And so we still coming out at 8.25. And so in this case, that 5.6 wouldn't be permitted to be granted based on the regulations.
And did you advise the appellant of that before today?
I think Xavier reached out to them.
I attempted to, I got in touch the first time before I actually got the numbers, and the second time I wasn't able to get in contact.
Madam Chair, in the information that we send out to the applicant, they're given that definition as well as an illustration of that distance.
But were the measurements available at that time?
It's their requirement to do the measurements. We did them in addition if we knew that this was an issue.
There's
May I
a
ask a
problem.
question?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Oh, just a point of clarification. So given the measurements that were taken, can you confirm again what the permitted setback would be on the front?
8 feet.
Yeah.
8 feet.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Yes.
comment. We have submitted our own survey of the lot, which includes the neighboring house. It shows that the neighboring house is set back 5.5 feet, and Jill and Pasquale have added the calculation as described in the building code shown on this site plan through the dotted line labeled calculated front, and then it's cut off. So that calculation comes out to 6 foot 1.5 inches as shown on the drawing. So would it be possible for you to grant the 6 foot 1.5 inch setback?
We do not have that. My understanding is we do not have that authority. That's correct. And they're correct. The house next door does have a 5.5 foot setback, but we have to measure all the way out, so 150 feet. Did you hear her?
No, I'm sorry, I did not.
This line does accommodate for every house on the side of the street within 150 feet.
So where we are is that city planning has measured in accordance with the ordinance, and they come up with 8 feet. And you have measured in accordance with your interpretation and reading of the ordinance, and you're coming up with 6 feet something, a different number. I suggest you all talk to each other, not now. We can postpone you to come back as quickly as possible, but the board will not be able to grant your request based on the information that we have before us. So you can either agree with city planning's number if you want action now, or you can agree and postpone it and show your information to them, and you all can agree on a calculation. That's what I think.
May I ask what additional information is needed other than the official survey that we got from a licensed surveyor and our diagram?
Shannon, do you want to answer how you approached it versus how they did,
Yeah,
or? Go ahead.
Sorry, they're more than welcome to go out and take the measurements of the neighboring properties setbacks.
Well, they say that they have.
Yeah.
And right now, because I don't think you and your team have reviewed it, we're not accepting it.
That's correct. I mean, I haven't seen anything besides what's next door. And they have to go 150 feet in all directions, so that's about 3 parcels.
So what you're saying is their survey has not gone far enough.
That's correct.
Oh, I think they said that they did go beyond
They
just
went one
next doors.
house. Oh.
You only went one house, or did you go beyond?
So sorry,
Received, had the adjacent properties, but we went out on site and walked the block, noting the setbacks of the houses on that side of the street within 3 parcels of each side, about 150 feet.
Mr. Esposito, the question is, did you go 150 feet on both
Yes.
sides?
Both sides of the home.
Yes.
So you
The
have a
house
survey
is
that goes.
located about mid-block. Well, it's, not a officially, not a surveyed, stamped surveyor, but just from walking I live in the neighborhood, so it was easy enough to walk down the street with our tape measure and measure the houses to the assumed, front yard setback.
And that was compared with the official survey we did receive from the property owner that was also submitted to you. I guess the one question that I'm having, though, is I heard a comment that the board did not review the information we sent. I'm a little confused by that point.
No, there's no comment of that nature.
I don't know who said that. I said, you have a different calculation than city planning.
Correct.
So that's the fundamental issue.
I thought you made a comment that they did not review our documents that we submitted.
Sorry,
So if I.
Madam Chairwoman,
No.
if I
just
may.
A moment. If I said that, I will admit to misspeaking. I just heard Shannon, what's your last name? Leonard, senior city planner, say that they reviewed the calculations. And they also created their own calculations, and the two come up with a different number. That's where we are.
So, Madam Chairwoman, if I may.
Yes, yes, Mr. Rooker.
My understanding is that the setback as calculated is 8 feet. But that the code allows, if there is a neighboring property that is closer than that calculated setback, that you draw a line from the front of that neighboring property, or from the corner of that neighboring property, 150 feet away to the calculated setback, which in this case would be 8 feet. Is that and then you can place the setback of your house on that line, wherever that falls. Is that correct?
Can you answer that, Liz?
I'm looking it up.
I have the illustration here. I'm not sure.
I'm not interested in the
that-
illustration. I'm interested in what he is saying.
It's not taken from the neighboring property, right? You have to go up. Sorry.
It's from your own, it's taken from the legal encroachment on your own property. And so, I mean, I think it's hard to sit here and do this at this table. Like, if they want to present their numbers that they calculate, I do want to reiterate that the setback is from the foundation line and not the porch line. A lot of people tend to get that mixed up. And then we, myself or Xavier, can work with them to find some type of happy medium. But based on the numbers that we took in the field and the calculations, we're still coming up at 8 feet. So I mean, we're more than welcome to talk to them offline about it.
Okay.
Okay. So
Are you-
on this point, Zach, did you want to table this or would you like to accept the 8-foot setback?
When would be the next time we would be able to revisit
2
this?
weeks.
March 4th.
Just March 4th, yeah. If you, again, if you want
If
to
it's
overload
resolved.
26th. then-
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, then I would.
Hold on. Let me give you a date. That it
Okay.
is it February what?
26th, yes.
And that's a full agenda that day that we are putting you on. And so we would hope that you would meet with city planning in advance and that the issue is resolved but it won't go back and forth like this on that day.
Understood.
Yes, understood.
Thank you.
What about the other agenda item,
We're doing the whole case on that day.
okay,
We will postpone any further testimony at this time to give you the ability to meet with city planning and discuss all variances. If you have any questions, discuss all of them, but in particular to settle the front yard setbacks.
okay, thank you. And then who specifically in the planning department should we meet with?
Xavier Bay. And as you heard, Shannon Leonard is also available.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Rucker, you're fine with postponing to February 26th?
Yes.
Well, you're amenable. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Please follow up Xavier Bay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you for coming for this one. Okay, I think we're on our last case.
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Our final case is calendar number 24-005. This is at 2530 Superior Avenue. TurnDev owner proposes to erect a 27,000 square foot 5-level parking structure for phase 2 of Cleveland Police Headquarters development located in the Central Business District and Semi-Industry District. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I am swearing in all who are present for this case. I see that we have 2 seated at the table in the room, Madam Chair. So I'll start there first. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. Michael Augustinus, 2037 West 20th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113.
Thank you. And just for clarity, can I have you spell your last name, please?
AUGOUSTIDIS.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move to the next person present for this case, please.
I do. I'm Mark Duluck. That's D-U-L-U-K. My address is 601 Lakeside Avenue here at City Hall, representing the city of Cleveland.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak in this matter?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and swear in, please.
Brian Daly, 3922 Fulton Court, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, and do you swear
do.
or affirm? Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else online? All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, would you please read the history?
Sure, thank you. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our records administration, we only found that in 1925, a permit was issued to change the storefront on the first floor. And then in the more recent history, we see that there are permits starting back in 1989 regarding electrical, HVAC, elevator, just mainly interior alterations. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the Liner building requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, who's speaking?
That would be me.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I indicated, my name is Mike Augustinus. I'm the project director for VOCON. We are the architects for the project. Just very generally, the project includes the renovation of the existing Artcraft building. It's approximately 280,000 square feet of industrial warehouse space that we are converting into the new Cleveland Police headquarters. As part of the program requirements for the site, we need to provide a structured parking garage of 450 cars and an addition to the Artcraft building that accommodates the real-time crime center and the fusion center for emergency functions for the police, for the division of police. In addition to and you can see the site plan here, one of the design parameters that we had for the project is a Department of Homeland Security requirement for a perimeter security line for the project. And fundamentally what that means is we need to provide protection of the building, primarily the Category 4 and Real-Time Crime Center. These are emergency operations centers in the event of a catastrophic event within the city of Cleveland. The Real-Time Crime Center becomes a operations center for controlling public safety through ambulance services and police services. So the idea of protecting the building is critical from an Ohio building code perspective and a national building code perspective. It is what we term a Category 4 building. It has an enhanced structural frame, and there is a storm center on the first floor that also has an enhanced structural frame. So the idea and concept of protecting that structure is critical to the overall function of the site. That said, we positioned the building between the Artcraft building and the garage to afford as much protection as possible. The positioning of the garage is such that we needed to provide access all the way around the garage for fire department access and provide visitor parking. We positioned the visitor parking on the East 25th Street side to help provide cushion and screening and actually push the garage further east on the site. We felt that as East 25th as a secondary road needed to be thought through a little bit more carefully than the East 26th Street side, which is the ramp, the on-ramp that goes down to the ODOT or down to the Interbelt. That street will eventually be vacated. We don't know when. ODOT does have plans for vacating that site or that road. Access to the back part of the site will be maintained. So we felt that positioning the building as we have shown it here provides the highest level of safety for the garage and the Category 4 building. We feel that the setback off East 25th at the closest point is 85 feet. That would be the lower right-hand corner of the garage is 85 feet off the curb line. And the opposite end of the garage is 105 feet off the curb line. The Liner building just did not work for us from a functional perspective and from the perspective of crafting the highest security that we can for the facility. And for that reason, we are requesting the variance be granted for deletion of the Liner buildings within this area. It is, as indicated previously, a semi-industrial area. The aerials can show some of the existing context. There's a lot of single-story industrial buildings with large parking lots. We feel that granting the variance will provide the appropriate visitor parking, the appropriate safety for the garage, and create a very welcoming experience for visitors. We have gone through architectural review boards. They have provided final approvals. We have gone to Planning Commission. They have provided a recommendation for approval for the variance, conditioned upon us providing a screen on either side of the garage that would provide plantings to grow through the mesh that would be on the first floor of the garage, which
Do
you
you
can
have
see.
elevations?
Yes, we're showing them here.
Thank you.
So you can see what that will look like. There are two plants that have been specified. Both are vines, and one is green, one is green, and will have flowering parts to it as well. You can get a good sense of what that would look like from the East 25th Street side with the screens and with the vegetation growing on the garage.
Okay, anyone else have comments? No?
No.
Okay. Mr. Daly, do you have a comment?
No.
All right, city planning?
Dan Schenkel is here from City Planning.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dan Schenkel, principal planner, also administrator of the Downtown Flats Design Review District. We've been working with the project team for a number of months, looking at the, as it's developed in design. They've worked really well with us over time to, facilitate a quick review and to work with the particular constraints of a police headquarters. As Michael mentioned, this has been through design review and city planning commission. They received approvals for the Liner building in both review committees, and we're supportive of this review. I think the biggest piece obviously is the use and understanding that how, where we have the ability to adjust code for something of this nature, but also the fact that Superior is completely screened. East 26th is the freeway, and that actually the on-ramp is going to go away as mentioned. Then East 26th, they've backed it off sufficiently from the frontage, and we find it appropriate.
So when the on-ramp goes away, that just will be excess right-of-way?
Yeah, it'll essentially be a dead end into the police parking lot.
Correct. If you can flip back to the site plan,
yes,
you can see where that's great right there, because you can see the drive going to the back, right immediately behind the Artcraft building.
Yeah,
That's an existing curb cut.
Yeah.
That's where that street and that access will remain. From that point down to the on-ramp, that will be removed. There is going to be a retaining wall built there. We have had discussions with ODOT. It's very high level design right now. They really haven't committed to a timeline or to a final design, but they have indicated that this work will eventually happen. We just don't know when. We did receive a preliminary drawing that showed a retaining wall that they will be building there that's going to vary in height from 15 to 20 feet high. And that's all the information that we had from ODOT.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
Board members, any questions or comments?
I think, you have some particular constraints on what you can do based on Homeland Security requirements and the need for that Category 4 building. So it's understandable that you would be requiring, or you would require obtaining approval of this variance today. So thank you for the thorough drawings as well.
Thank you.
We don't always get them. As you've seen, as you've been sitting here.
Board members, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we've heard today from the appellant and also the city, I move that we approve calendar number 24-005 based on the information in the agenda as well. That's it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, we'll call the vote.
Sure. Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Calendar number 24-005 is granted. We'll ratify this next Monday and we will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact us on Wednesday for further instruction.
Wonderful.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Secretary.
Ready for old business?
Yes, please.
So, 2 through 4, 8 and 9, there is start weather. I believe that you received the updated drawings that were sent with the packet of resolutions. And those, just to jog your memory, the applicant had shown parking in the front setback. You asked them to remove that.
Oh.
And so we have the updated drawing showing that now.
Okay.
And the others are just straightforward. There are no conditions on those.
Okay. Any objection, board?
No objection.
No.
Without objection.
Thank you. Hearing no objection, these are approved. And is there any other business to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals this February 5th?
No other business at this time.
Then I say we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
You as well.
Thank you.